Alright guys, hey. Well, it's been a little while since I've done any videos for the GT100. So earlier this week I got a question from a guy on my YouTube channel asking about how to do certain things in the manual mode of the GT100. And I went back to the unit itself and just went into manual mode and started tweaking the knobs and just to see what was actually possible here, because it's been a long time since I've played with the GT100. So I thought it was better to just go straight to the unit and kind of figure this out. And his basic question was how to set up a tab, either a beats per minute tab or a delay tab. When you're doing different songs and you like the unit here in manual mode, you can set the phrase loop or the Excel to control the tap tempo of the delay. And that can come in handy if you switch between songs and you're kind of on the fly trying to dial in that specific delay time while you're playing the song or while your drummer is kicking you in. You can also get the beats per minute tab, and that's your basic tap tempo button for bringing the basic. In your master section you can bring up the beats per minute if you have different beats per minute for your delays or anything like that. So that was his basic question, and I thought, okay, I might just go straight back to the unit and try to see what I can do here in manual mode. So right off the bat here, right now you can see that I'm in preset mode because I have displayed on my screen here the U standing for the user preset section, and I'm on bank 15 patch number 1. Okay, so in order to take the unit into manual mode, we'll have to simultaneously press the bank down and bank up button, and it also says under here, it says manual mode. So press those simultaneously and you'll get into manual mode. And let me just start to bring you in here a little better so you can see what I'm talking about, so you can get a clear picture. Okay, right now we're in manual mode here, and by default the GT100 here has laid out the effect for us. So on the bank down we have effects 1, so if I press that button over here, you'll see we'll get this line up here, meaning that effects 1, whatever effect that is now engaged. So if I press it again, we'll take it out. So basically the manual mode here acts as your regular pedal board with individual pedals on it. If you're more into that, you're confused about all creating patches and you don't want to create a patch for each song you have to do that night, for example, at your gig, and you can just set up things here and press one button and you have it like your individual Stompbox on your pedal board. Okay, but each of these knobs down here, you have knob number 1, 2, 3, 4 on the left screen here, and you have from 5 to 8 over here on your right screen. So basically these knobs are your control switches or knobs here. So if I turn it, you'll see I can change the different type of effect, and if I scroll it all the way I can also turn it off so it doesn't do anything. It can do the Excel if you have something like a pitch bend assigned to that. Phrase loop, record play, stop, clear, and you have for your amplifier here you can switch between channels A and B, so that could come in handy, for example, if you have a patch or you have multiple patches where you basically want to start out with a clean sound and from there you want it to go to a different preamp, maybe an overdriven preamp. So you have your A channel where you have your, let's say, the clean twin, for example, and you have set that up and you get a nice clean sound out of that. But later in the patch you want to kick in an overdriven preamp, for example, and that's just going to make it easy, because if you have an overdriven preamp on channel B, you're basically just going to click here, and as you see up here, it just switched. Now we're on B, now we're back on A. So quite easy and quite a useful feature. So if you just scroll through it here, you have the OD solo, which is also great if you have your, let's see, we have the overdrive here on button number 2. So if I press that, we have the overdrive on now. And if I then press bank up, you can see we'll have the overdrive, taking that overdrive stomp into solo mode. And you know, not many people know this or use this, but you have the option of either choosing OD solo mode or preamp solo mode. And those are going to be featured in the next parameters here. But whether you're in preset mode or you're in manual mode, you'll have the options of, if you have a patch that you like and you have a nice overdriven sound going on, either from an overdrive stomp you have pressed in for that patch, or if you're just using, let's say, a preamp from the GT100 here and it's an overdriven preamp, you have the options of choosing preamp solo. And that is just going to give you that extra bit of boost gain and some frequency boosts to be able to cut through the mix better. So if this were the case and we had the overdrive on and basically, I have a lead part coming up, then you have the solo switch, OD solo, right here, and just press it in by pressing the bank down button and you'll basically be there. Okay, so if you go further here, as I said, we have either A and B solo, or A or B solo I should say. And this is, for example, if you have your preamp set up where your A channel is your clean preamp and your B channel is your overdriven preamp, and then you have assigned, as I showed you before, if FX2, for example, if that was set to let's see here, if it was set to channel or toggle between A and B on your bank up button. Let's say right now we're just on preamp A, but let's say that you wanted to have the solo on preamp B, so you would press, so you get right over to preamp B, and you would press the bank down button to take that particular channel into solo mode, and it's just going to recognize it by, right now we're on channel B, so if I press it right back, we take the solo mode out of channel B. If I press the bank up button, so we get back to channel number A here, and I press the AB solo button, it will just take that preamp into solo mode. And if you can see that right there, you actually have a lot of tonal possibilities. And you, as I said, if you have your clean preamp on A and you have your overdriven preamp on B, then you're basically set. You can get by doing a lot of patches just by having that assigned right there. And if you add in that solo boost for either of the channels, then if you need a little bit of extra boost for some clean soloing, you can do that. And if you need it for your overdriven channel of the amplifier, you can do that as well. So great feature. If we scroll along here, OD solo, AB solo, as I said. We have also A and B solo. So this is basically for when you're using your preamps, when you're using them in stereo or you're using two preamps. So if I press the effects button on the right hand side here, just to show you and take you into the signal chain, if we go back here, you can see we have basically the divider over here, and we have the options, the mode single, or we have options of dual. And that A and B solo is basically for when you use the dual mode for the preamp. So you have the same preamp, but you have doubled it to get a fatter, thicker sound. That would basically be the way, and that would be what the A and B solo button would do. So another great feature, if you like that, to have two amps running. You can also mix two amps. You can mix a clean amp with a dirty amp and basically do whatever you want and get the sound you like. If we scroll along here, you would see that now we get to the effects. Now we get to the compressor. We get to the overdrive, get to the preamp. You can have that set as well. get to the EQs, effects 1, effects 2, the delay, the chorus, the reverb, and basically your other possible parameters here, pedal effects, send and return. For example, if you have a pedal or two connected to the send and return of the effects loop in the GT100 here, you can basically kick that in if you need something extra. Amp control, if you have your amplifier hooked up to the control socket on the GT100 here, you can basically control it. You can use it as a tuner just by one tap and you get into the tuner mode. Bank up, manual. This would basically, just take you from manual mode into preset mode, and it's just showing that we're in manual mode right now. So I guess that's a pretty feature if you can find the use for that as well. If we scroll along here, now we get to the beats per minute tab, and you'll see if I bring you out here, you should probably see that we have a blinking LED over here. And basically, if I bring you in here again, guys, you should be able to see that right now it says 235 here. If I tap that slower, you see the beats per minute, it's going to change. Now we're down to 113. So that's a nice way to, if you need that feature, to be able to set the beats per minute overall within your manual mode here. So if we scroll further, we'll get the delay tab. And I know a lot of people who are actually, been looking for this. So just to show you what it does, if I press the effects button here on the right hand again to take you into the signal chain, and we're going to scroll to the delay section, and we're just going to, see over here that if we go back here, we have the bang up set to delay tab. And if we get back into the effects, we should be able, if I press here, you can see that it's going to change. Now it says 204. If I press it faster, we get up to 337. So, that's a basic way you can do it as well. I believe you should be able to have the knob flashing. Let me just try one thing over here. Delay tab. I don't know why it isn't flashing. Perhaps we have to, let's just say here. That's strange. I reckon that it should be able to blink, but I guess it's not going to do that. The beats per minute, we have it blinking, I can see, but the delay, I guess it's not blinking, but I don't know if that's something, but you can be able to see what's going on anyway. So as I said, we have a lot of the other features. Let's just go back here to where we were. The beats per minute tab and the delay tab. And if you scroll, you also have a MIDI. If you have something controlled by MIDI, you can activate that. You have your basically play option. You can increase the level by 10, by 20. You can decrease by 10 or 20. You can have your number incline and decline. You can have your bank incline and decline. And that is basically it for the bank up. I believe you have further options. Let's just see here. Okay, so the very last feature that you have on your bank down, bank up 1, 2, 3, and 4 are bank decline. This is your last possible setting there. But on your phrase loop and your Excel, you're actually able to have a feature or two more. So let me just show you this here. bank decline was the very last on the remaining, but on phrase loop and Excel we're actually able to have control assign and control assign, and this is what a lot of people have been looking for. This basically means that, let's say that on the phrase loop here you want to assign something that you don't have on your screen here. It could basically be, let's say that you only have to play 2 songs and you would like in one of the songs you have a certain delay setting for the time, and when you go to the next song, still being in manual mode, you just want to change that delay time and maybe bring up the feedback. Then you're basically able to do that because you have set the phrase loop to control assign. And basically here, the way you're going to set this up is you're going to do as you normally would do. You would press the CTL EXP button on the right hand side here. You would get into the your basic assign mode, and you would basically have to scroll to your first available assign, and you would over here you would have to select the phrase loop pedal. Make sure that you've turned the assign on, make sure it's set to toggle, and go along here. So I was talking about a delay. So if I find the delay here, let's just see, we have the delay right here. And as I said, we have to set up a target, and we wanted to basically change it from one delay type to another. So we're just going to set it to delay time, and we wanted it to have a certain delay time for one song. So let's say that we wanted it to have just straight up 400 milliseconds here. We have that, and when we press the phrase loop, we basically we have 400 milliseconds for the patch that we want. But when we want to press the phrase loop, we want to take it into something different. So let's say we want to take it from 400 up to 600, and we should basically we should be able to do that. If I go to show in the effects here, delay, yeah, you can see right away. Now we're on the first patch, as I said, a fictional patch, because I just want to show you if you have two songs you want to play, you want to start out at 400 milliseconds, and you want to change, you just we have assigned it to the phrase loop, and it will just change right up to 700. A great feature, and you have the indication of that by if I zoom out here, you have the indication of the red light down here. Now we have the 700 milliseconds on, and when we go back, we're right back at the 400. So really cool, and I believe a lot of people basically have been searching for this. So if you set the phrase loop and the Excel to control assign, you're basically able to make use of all the 8 available assigns. And if you want to assign it to the Excel, you do the same thing. You press the CTL EXP button, you get in here, but instead of first going to your available assign, you have your basic Excel control menu here, and you can just change it from the Excel to anything other, basically what you want. So you can do that first and kind of have your very first assign for the Excel here. It could be anything really. Just set it to your compressor, and maybe from there you want something else turned on or activated that you don't have out on your buttons here, switches, foot switches for your manual mode, and you can basically just go in and select the source, make sure it's Excel control, it's turned on and it's toggling, and just select the parameters, and you can make use of the 8 available assigns that you have here. So if you need 4 assigns for something on your phrase loop pedal, you can do that, and you have 4 left for your Excel control pedal if you would like that. And that's just going to give you a lot more tonal options, because you can have basically your manual mode set up here, but you can have a lot of different assigns put on it in order to shape that manual mode sound to whatever you like. And I would probably do a couple of other videos on this here to basically show this more in depth here, but I basically want to give you the, you know, the overview or the overall operation of this manual mode here, how to take you into it and how to, you know, get going right here, just basically 101 straight up. And it's fairly easy. I haven't used it much really, but you know, it's right there on the screens and you can do whatever you basically want with it. And a last thing here, maybe, let's say that you're kind of old school and you like to have your things lined up in the, you know, order that you would on a pedal board. You could basically go back here and see, okay, on a normal pedal board I would have my compressor first. From there I would basically have my overdrive, and then I would have my preamp. From there I might have, it could be, you know, an EQ pedal to shape the tone further. Then I would have my chorus pedal, and then I would perhaps have my delay, something like that. And some of you might think that, okay, but the reverb is probably also an option here, and yes it is. You can see it right here, reverb. But let's say for something like me, I like to have the reverb on at all times. And you can also have that by just pressing the effects button on the right hand side and just basically go in, turn the reverb on, set it to whatever you like, if you have a standard setting for it, and you can basically leave it and it would still be on. So, you know, even though it doesn't show up here on the screen, you're still able to have it on. And for something like a reverb, it's not bad to have that on at all times, because it wouldn't, at least I wouldn't have to or need to go in and change it all the time. So I would just leave it on. So you can do that as well. So now you basically have your setup: compressor, overdrive, preamp, EQ, chorus, and delay. Of course, you can also, if you want the FX1 or FX2 to be kicked in, you can just change that around and make it work for you. And we have the, you know, option of having the controller sign on both the phrase loop and the Excel. And if you only need it on one, then just, you know, select whatever parameter you need for the others here. And you should basically be good to go. And it's just easy. It's real easy. But as I said, this is just the overview of the whole here, and I hope it just gives you an idea of what it is and how you can do it and set it up to your, you know, preference and your playing. So I might be able to make a couple of videos where I go a little more in depth and maybe include some sound samples, just to show you exactly what you can do with it and how versatile this actually is. Because I think a lot of people, you know, they are overwhelmed with an effects unit like this, and the presets can be confusing, and how do I set it up, how do I get it right. And, you know, basically just operating the unit in manual mode is going to make it a lot easier for you. So another great feature there. Well, quick last thing here. You now see the lineup, as I said, and then some of you might think, okay, but we have lined it up now, but how do I change the parameters for that specific effect, for the overdrive, for example? Pretty easy. You just go to the right hand side, you press the effects button, and you use the select knob here to scroll to the, you know, the overdrive, and you have your basic settings. So if you don't want it to be the OD1, you want it to be something like a tube screamer, you can just set it there and adjust the drive and the tone and the level. And if you need some more, you know, basic EQ options, you have the tone and you have the bottom and how much you want it. And you can also adjust the solo level in here if you know, 50 by default isn't enough. So that's basically your way of going into the parameters and changing them. And once you've changed them, you know, you would just press the right over here and on the right hand side and just make sure to write it. And it should be able to save all of your settings that you've just set up. So, you know, that's basically a nice way to have it all laid out here. So I kind of like it, and it would be nice at some point to take it out and use it like this, because I reckon that you can get good results out of this. So okay guys, I will just cut it here and say thanks for watching, and I hope this will give you, you know, an overview of what this is, you know, right off the box here. And as I said, I might do a couple of videos further out with a more in-depth look at this. But, you know guys, thanks for it, and stay tuned for more. I'll probably see you real soon.